Tinubu government's mandate to introduce Chinese language in schools, a step backward for Nigeria. The Nigerian government's recent mandate to introduce Mandarin Chinese as a compulsory subject in all senior secondary schools has sparked widespread public outcry, with many questioning the necessity of such a decision at this critical juncture in the country's history. Given Nigeria's current economic, security and social challenges, this move raises serious concerns about the government's priorities and its commitment to national development. What is particularly jarring to many is that, while Nigeria is home to over 500 indigenous languages, none have been deemed important enough to be made compulsory across the nation to foster unity among the country's diverse peoples. Instead, the Tinubu administration has opted to promote a foreign language, Mandarin, at the expense of Nigeria's rich cultural heritage. This decision not only neglects the need for linguistic inclusivity, but also undermines efforts to strengthen national identity in a country plagued by deep ethnic divisions. This move is seen by many as a direct contradiction to the ideals championed by prominent African leaders like Professor P.L.O. Lumumba and Dr. Arikana Chihombori Kwao, who have long advocated for the cultural and political independence of African nations. Their calls for African self-determination are starkly at odds with a policy that appears to align Nigeria more closely with China's growing influence on the continent. What makes this decision even more troubling is the context of current developments across Africa. In countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, and Niger, younger leaders are gaining traction by rejecting foreign interference and pushing for policies that reflect the will and welfare of their people. These nations are championing a Pan-African vision of liberation, while Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa, seems to be quietly ceding its autonomy to external powers. By mandating the teaching of Chinese in schools, President Tinubu and his government are sending a troubling message: that Nigeria is more willing to embrace foreign powers and cultures than to invest in its own people and history. This is not only a betrayal of Nigeria's own citizens, but also a setback for the entire African continent, which has long struggled to break free from the remnants of colonialism and imperialism. The fact that such a policy is being pursued in Nigeria, a country that was once expected to lead Africa out of its neo-colonial predicament, is both perplexing and disheartening. Where once European powers forcefully imposed their cultures and systems on African nations, today it seems that some African leaders, like Tinubu, are willingly replacing colonial forces with new imperialist interests. This policy, then, is not just an educational decision. It is a cultural capitulation that threatens to undermine the very essence of African identity. What, one might ask, would compel any African nation at this moment in history to impose another foreign language and culture upon itself? It is an unfortunate irony that this decision is being made by Nigeria, the country that was once the beacon of African liberation and self-determination, is now trading last on this noble course. The tragic irony is that, instead of leading the charge toward an African renaissance, Nigeria is now playing into the hands of global powers who have long sought to maintain dominance over the continent. The Nigerian people must resist this dangerous course. This is a time for leadership to be prioritizes the welfare of its citizens, protects its cultural heritage, and champions the principles of sovereignty and self-determination. Help amplify Diaspoint's message by sharing it within your network. Together, we can make a meaningful impact for Africa's future. Diaspoint, empowered by Africans in diaspora.